She captured our hearts as Angela Chase, an erotic teen in the 90s cult classic, My So-Called Life, and went on to win Romeo's heart, or Leonardo DiCaprio's, in Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet. She earned her first Emmy for her incredible portrayal of larger-than-life autism advocate Temple Grandin. Love that movie. And with her latest Emmy-winning role as Carrie Mathison, a terrorist-hunting CIA agent on the hit show Homeland, Claire Danes' trophy shelf is getting pretty full these days. But when the cameras are off, Claire has been teaming up with her good friend and makeup artist, Matin Maulawizada, to help empower women in Afghanistan. So please welcome Claire and Matin. Thank you so much. These are so beautiful. I can't wait to tell everyone about these scarves because it's such a great thing that you both are doing.
Thank you.
And before I do that though, Claire, I just have to ask you, I know that obviously the 3rd season of Homeland wrapped up and you're getting ready to shoot the 4th season.
Yes.
And it's going to take you to some pretty exciting places.
Yeah, well, we're filming in South Africa for 6 months, which is pretty daunting. I mean, it's really exciting. It'll be thrilling. But South Africa is actually standing in for Afghanistan and Pakistan, kind of coincidentally, in regards to this project. But yeah, so in a couple weeks' time, I'm off to return.
and are you looking forward to it? Because that's a far, you know, and obviously you've got Cyrus, your son, who is 17 months. And so you're going to pack him up and head to South Africa.
Yep, he's in the luggage. Oh. Yeah, throwing him in there.
And you know, Homeland is such a great show. Why do you think it is made such a splash? I love it. Everyone I know watches it.
Thank you.
We love you in it.
Thank you.
Really,
thank you.
You're amazing in it.
Well, thank you. Thank you. The quality of the writing is extraordinary, and it is so relevant. It's almost prescient, you know. It really anticipates these world events, and I don't know. It's just it's obviously very thrilling, and it's the plot is very fast paced, and a lot happens, but it revolves around characters who are really dynamic and conflicted and flawed and human and kind of unattractive in some ways, but relatable. And, and the CIA obviously is a clandestine, you know, operation. The whole idea is that we don't know what they're up to, and here we get to take a peek at that. And I think it is actually quite reflective of that experience. So I'm just glad people are watching.
Well, we are, and we can't wait to see what happens next.
Thank
and
you.
The cast is, you know, I love Mandy and everyone else as well. But
well,
we're really here to talk about this project, Claire and Matin, and it's so exciting that you all are doing this. First, before we talk about it, though, how did you all hook up in the old-fashioned sense of the term, by the way?
Well, Matin has been my makeup artist for 10 years now. We were realizing how old we were backstage. We were doing the math. But no, he's been my makeup artist for a long time, and but he's an extraordinary person. He's from Afghanistan originally, and when came to America in his teens, his family's mostly based in the Bay Area. And he went to Berkeley and has a master's in molecular biology, you know. He's like an extraordinary person.
Which is crazy. You know, when I read that, Matin, I was like, well, you're a fantastic makeup artist, but you also have your master's in molecular biology. I mean, why did you
not relevant at all.
How did you go from molecular biology to being a makeup artist?
I grew up with women. I grew up with, I have 6 sisters. My mom was a, you know, fashionable woman, and she loves makeup and hair. So I grew up very much around it. And it was always a fun art thing for me to do. So I'm just really glad that I'm making a living out of it.
And you get to work with great people, which is so
beautiful. Yes,
so
it was love at first sight, so that's how we hook up. And it was actually like days after I came back from Afghanistan, my 2nd trip, when I met Claire.
Well, tell us about Afghan Hands, because this is obviously something near and dear to your heart for so many reasons. But how did you come up with the concept?
Well, Afghanistan is, we've always seen in the news, has been devastated over 30 years now. And it all started towards the end of Russian invasion. Girls were getting kidnapped and raped and killed. Their honors were taken, so a lot of them were committing suicides. And then, you know, with the Mujahideen, things got worse because it was civil war and different opposing troops or parties were fighting against each other, and they were brutalizing women as warfare. So it was really, they've had a really hard time. And this kind of terrorism against women, what happened is it changed the culture at its core. Women were ultra protected. So if you had 4 or 5 girls in the house, you didn't want anybody to know that you had women in the house because they would come in and literally rape them or steal them from you or force you to give them away into marriages that you didn't want. So it became this protective force in which women stayed at home. They didn't go to school anymore. As a result, over the 30 years of this, it's become a habit. And now, unfortunately, even families that had the freedom to go to school, they try to be overprotective and not sending their kids to school.
Well, they're too afraid.
They're very afraid. To this day, they're
Taliban
they're throwing acid in their faces.
I interviewed a young woman in Afghanistan who had acid thrown in her face by 3
Exactly.
members of the Taliban on scooters,
Yeah.
and they knew that they were going to school.
Even though the impulse is protective, the effects can be devastating because they're kind of imprisoned,
They are, in their own home.
Yeah,
And they have no
education and no agency, no autonomy, and so their sense of individuality is stripped.
And so tell us how the scarves enter into how you're trying to change things with these beautiful objects.
Well, for us was, I wanted to go back to Afghanistan. I wanted to see home again once the Taliban were kicked out. So it was a very hopeful time, 2004, 2003. It was a really hopeful time to go back to Afghanistan. A lot of people were going back. And I wanted to go, but I didn't want to go empty-handed because, I was removed and I was so lucky to live, a sheltered life outside the war. So I couldn't just go in and it's like, hey, I'm here to sightsee or visit. And that was a way for me to give back. And I knew, since I grew up with women, I knew how difficult it was at best to grow up. I mean, being a woman, you all know, is difficult anywhere in the world. It's far harder to be a woman than a man. But to be in Afghanistan is especially difficult. So with that in mind, I wanted to work with women and then widows especially, because if they didn't have a means to provide for themselves, they were enslaved by their families, not by choice, and not by choice of the family, but just by the situation. They would basically wake up in the morning and do the chores until they go to sleep. I wanted to provide a way for them to earn their own money, to have financial freedom, which in turn, at the end, give them a voice and an authority in the family.
And I know that they obviously embroider these beautiful scarves. And tell us a little bit about the scarves, Claire.
I originally got involved with the organization for really superficial reasons. I saw these scarves that he was selling on his site, and I was obsessed with them. They were so beautiful and so rare, and nothing is handmade anymore. So I just started collecting like crazy.
She Christmas shopped.
I Christmas shopped in a major way. Everybody in my life has Afghan hand scarves.
But they're beautiful, and there are 100 women who've been employed, and all the money goes back to these women,
Every
right?
cent goes back
Every
to them.
single penny
Yes.
that from these scarves. And Claire comes from a very artistic family. Your mom, a textile designer, your dad, a painter. So I guess it only goes, I guess it's with good reason that you've been gravitating towards
this
these.
is a real family affair, and it happened as organically as it possibly could. We were having dinner one day, and it occurred to me, hey, my mom was a textile designer, actually my friend had the thought, and we both started running with it. Maybe she could design a line. We could design it together.
Did you all work on this one?
We did, yeah. So my mom made a whole line that's been sold on the website, afghanhands.org.
But it's beautiful because it's sign language,
It's sign language and also
And Braille.
Sign language and Braille.
And
How
it says,
cool is
I
that?
love you on one side and you love me on the other.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah.
That one is like a very special piece.
So special. Well, I think it's wonderful what you're doing for these disenfranchised women in your home country. And Claire, I think it's wonderful that you're supporting all the great work
It's
that
my
Matin
privilege.
is doing,
It's
and
such an inspired idea.
we wanted to tell everyone about this wonderful organization so we could learn about it, tell other people about it, and they could support it as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for
Thank
coming
you.
by. And can I keep this one?
Of course.
I'll make a donation,
No,
obviously,
please, it's yours.
Matin. But it's beautiful.
That's
it's
called
so
Hugh,
special.
after my husband. We all have names. This is the Claire. This is Hugh. My husband loves hands. That's
Oh.
his thing. Okay. But,
That's a whole nother
so you
show.
get a Hugh.
Anyway, thank you both for coming by.